Meta ads just did the unthinkable, and it's about to dethrone Google and take over the entire advertising industry. Now, that might be a little too dramatic, but Meta did just surpass Google for the first time in terms of annual revenue, and that's a tribute to all the investments that Meta has made into its platform and the fact that so many brands are finding Meta extremely valuable in terms of growing their business. So here's everything that you need to know about this change and what's driving it. So eMarketer is a website that follows online advertising, and it projects that Meta will pass Google in total digital revenue in 2026, which will be the first time ever. Now, some numbers: Meta is projected to have $243.46 billion in revenue. That's 26.8% of global ad spend. And Google is projected to have $239.54 billion, which is $26.4 billion of global ad revenue. Now, this is by no means to say that Google is not good and Meta is the only place you should advertise on. In fact, Meta and Google work really well together. So I work with brands and I see the ones that have Meta and Google with the right proper strategy do really well. And so by no means should brands take this as we should go all in on Meta. But if you have not started Meta ads, or you don't think there's a lot of potential with Meta ads, or you think it's on a decline since post iOS, you're wrong. Like, I see it every day. The brands that I'm working with, most of them are absolutely crushing it. And that's because they have the right strategy and they stay up to date with the latest changes, which I implement in the ad account. And so Meta is not going anywhere, and it's here to stay. It is, in my opinion, the best place to acquire new customers. And it's, again, it's only getting better and better with the investments that Meta makes. Meta's ad growth is accelerating to 24% in 2026. That's up from 22% in 2025. And Google is only up 11%. So the single biggest driver is Meta's Advantage Plus automated suite, right? So Advantage Plus Audiences, Advantage Plus Creative, right? The amount that Meta has invested in its AI is insane. Hundreds of billions of dollars with different chips, different data centers, etc., to make the best platform possible, right? If you're on Instagram, you're scrolling Reels, you know how addicting it can be. You know how good the content recommendation system is, right? It's the same thing with ads. Meta wants two things to happen, essentially, and brands should treat it as a business partner. Meta wants brands to provide quality content and products through ads to its users, its customers, right? And it wants its users and customers to have a good experience on Instagram, on Facebook, on WhatsApp, right? So if you're a brand, you should always treat Meta like a business partner. Not some hack, not some, how do I spend as little as possible on Meta and get the highest return, right? No. Meta wants you to spend money on its platform, and they want you to get a return on their platform. So you should stay up to date with Meta's latest trends and technical changes, so that Meta is telling you what it wants. And it's a volume of strategic creative. It's proper audience segmentation. It's partnership ads. It's making sure you're leveraging organic. It's having good products at good prices with good landing pages and having a good post-purchase experience. All those things go into it, right? And so you have to give Meta what it wants. Meta wants a quality ads. It wants ads to be refreshed when they fatigue. It wants diverse ads, speaking to different cohorts, different groups of people, right? So all this is part of Meta's Advantage Plus automated ad suite, which has dramatically changed the game, and they've done an incredible job post iOS 14. One of my biggest pet peeves is people saying that Meta ads don't work anymore post iOS 14. That's just not the case. That is just not the case. So why this matters: where the money goes, the attention flows, and the platform winning budget in the um, is typically investing the most in the new tech and new ad tech, and so that brands can get new reach. And Advantage Plus rewards audiences and advertisers who feed the algorithm, not those who micromanage it, right? If you're running ads for a brand, or you're the brand owner running ads and you're micromanaging every little decision, and you think that you're smarter than Meta, you're wrong, right? So again, think of Meta as a business partner, know what it wants and give it what it wants. This third part is true. Like the brands that are doing that I'm working with are actually seeing a lower cost per result year over year, across all different account sizes. I work with brands that are spending thousands of dollars a day, tens of thousands of dollars a day. I work with brands that are spending hundreds of dollars a day, right? I work with brands that are hesitant to start Facebook ads, and so they want to start at $25 a day. I say, okay, no problem. Here's the strategy. Let's try it. If it works, great. And so it is possible, and it is happening. It's real. I see it every day that brands are winning year over year on Meta, and they're following the trends and the changes that Meta puts out, and they're getting rewarded for it. So if you run Meta ads, the competitive bar just rose, right? Manual setups are falling behind. The days of manually and granularly targeting different audiences and trying to hack the system are gone, okay? Meta's Advantage Plus AI is so good that you're never going to do better than it, right? And you can see this if you go on and you start shopping for shoes, or you start looking at vacations to Italy or whatever it is. You start talking about stuff with your friends, and all of a sudden it's on your Facebook ads, your Instagram ads, right? That's because Meta's advantage is the compute and the investments that it's made into its ad delivery system. It's by far the best. And so this is, again, another point that if you have not started Meta ads, or you don't think Meta ads can work for you, you probably don't have the right strategy. You're probably not giving Meta what it wants. And if you're a Shopify brand doing 10 to 20K plus a month in revenue, and you want strategic guidance and advice, I do work with a handful of brands on a strictly performance-based contract. And so when I win, you win. And if you think that's a good fit, feel free to click the link in the bio, or head over to my LinkedIn or X and send me a DM, and we can set up a call and see if it'd be a good fit. All right, next slide. Ride the wave, don't fight it. This is nothing new here with Meta. Again, this goes along with how I say that you should treat Meta as a business partner. So those that adopt Meta's Advantage Plus get cheaper results, and competitors hesitate. So the brands that continuously pump out creative at scale strategically get better results than those who hesitate. Broad targeting with strong creative now beats narrow hand-built audiences. Now, this is not to say that you should go all in on broad, but you should be testing, and once you have the test that confirms your hypothesis, then you should make the switch, and you have enough data, right? So I always let the data make the decisions for me, and I always am testing new things in the account. And as a rule of thumb, for me, I typically have 70 to 80% of my ad budget going towards things that I know that have worked. Now, this is not the case when I start with the brand, but once I have proof of performance and strategy that is confirmed and it's getting better results than the other campaigns, I put majority of spend into those campaigns, but it's never more than 80%. I'm always testing with 20%, right? 20%, continuously testing different ads, different angles, different avatars, right? And so that's the name of the game on Meta, is to always be testing and let the data tell you the name of the game. So more budget on the platform means more ad inventory and better signal for your campaigns. So as I mentioned, Meta has gotten really good at showing the right ad to the right person. And so as a result, ads fatigue quicker. And because Meta knows who to show the right ad to, it typically does that in the first couple of thousand impressions, right? Those are the best impressions that it serves. And so the following thousands of impressions are not going to be as good quality, right? Because Meta has gotten so good at showing the right ad to the right person at the right time, that that ads just tend to fatigue quicker. So brands that master that will now be able to have a competitive advantage, right? Brands that have a creative flywheel in place have a competitive advantage. Brands that create a volume of creative strategically will have an advantage on Meta. So here's what you should do right now. Here's your 5-step action plan. Number one, make sure you have Advantage Plus on. I'm sure all of you do, but test it against your current setup if you don't. Number two, shift effort from audience building to creative volume. Feed the algorithm with more inputs, right? So if you don't have a system in place that's essentially automated for your creative flywheel, or at least repetitive, then you're falling behind, right? You should be testing 10 to 20 new ads per week. And especially if you're spending a couple $100 a day or more, you should be testing 10 to 20 new ads per week. And so the barrier to get to that is not as high as you think, right? A couple years ago, it would be very expensive to have that amount of volume of creative, right? Thousands of dollars. Now with AI and some of the tools out there, you can do this at a really low cost. And every brand's different. Some brands, are very against that. But when it comes down to it, the value of content that you can put out versus one little thing being off here or there, and the speed at which you can grow an ad account with a volume of creative significantly outweighs any downside risk, in my opinion. But again, every brand's different, and you should do whatever you feel best represents your brand. Some of these AI tools are really good, and you can't tell what's AI or what's not, right? So you obviously don't want to put out slop, but if you can, if you're a smaller brand and you're scrappy and you have a limited budget, you don't have thousands of dollars for a professional photo shoot, some of these tools can really replicate that without the expense of going for thousands of dollars. Consolidating fragmented ad sets and campaigns so that the system can learn faster. So one of the biggest mistakes I see in ad accounts is just so much going on, way too many ad sets per campaign, way too many campaigns for an ad account, and you essentially get no statistical significance on the data that you've been tested, right? So oftentimes I see a 20, 30, 40% increase in return on ad spend and decrease on CAC just by properly structuring an account. And ad accounts are hard. It's a part of your business that is an amplifier when done right, and a detractor when things are done wrong. And so having an expert in there, having somebody who's seen hundreds of ad accounts can really, really add a lot of value to your brand. And so my advice is, whether it's working with me or somebody else, you should work with somebody who has had visibility into hundreds of ad accounts, right? Who's had agency experience, who's had multiple years of following the latest trends and changes on Meta. It will significantly help your business. And again, if you think you'd be a good fit, feel free to reach out. More than happy to have a conversation and see if it'd be a good fit. And your step 5, your 5th step for action items is to set clear value rules and exclusions so that automation always stays on brand. Okay. So this is especially true on the creative side, and the messaging side, right? When you notice within Meta, when you are about to publish an ad, it has a bunch of AI variations. A lot of those are getting better and better, and a lot of them are still very off-brand. So obviously, just make sure you set strict guidelines and approval process, with whoever needs to approve those before going live. But again, it can really benefit an ad account if you do have a volume of creative strategically that can speak to a wide range of people and really help people solve problems. So, common mistake to avoid is do not sabotage the algorithm. Over-segmenting audiences starves the account of data, killing campaigns before they exit the learning phase. Again, Meta wants 50 conversions per week per ad set, so make sure you consolidate that. And for math, that's 7.14 purchases per day on average. So if you have, say you have a $50 CAC, $100 AOV, you need to essentially have your budget at 350 plus dollars per day so that you can get 7 purchases per day per ad set, which comes to 50 per week. Running automation with weak or repetitive creative. Again, creative is the name of the game on Meta. If you don't have strong creative, you're not going to do well. And ignoring traffic gaps. Again, make sure you're always tracking, make sure you have proper UTMs on your ads. And here's what you should do moving forward. So Google is still very important and should be a part of your marketing strategy, right? Meta and Google work really well together. This is by no means to say that Meta has significantly proven that all the dollars should go to Meta. Google is still profitable, but Meta has a lot more scale. And so Google losing this is by no means a fluke. Like, Meta has invested hundreds of billions of dollars into making its automation system, making its ad delivery system, making its content automation recommendation system first class. And so it's no surprise to me that it has won. I would not be shocked if Meta continues to have more revenue than Google based on the investments that it's made. And especially with social commerce growing, I think more and more people are heading to social media, whether it's organically or through ads, looking at brands that they're interested in, or also discovering brands that way as well. So the new edge is creative and clean data and fed into a machine that's smarter than any manual setup. So the biggest advantage that Meta has over Google is you can actually visually show your product, and people resonate a lot more with visuals than text. So when done right, you can really grow a brand well on Meta, and it's very important that you, again, treat it as a business partner. So 3 things to remember. Meta is overtaking Google in ad revenue for the first time, and a big part of it is automation and the investments that it made in the platform, making it better for advertisers and for users. Advantage Plus, strong creative and clean tracking is the winning formula in 2026. Again, strong creative meaning a very strong creative flywheel, replenishing old ads, replenishing ads that have fatigued, that have not performed, daily, weekly, is the name of the game in Meta in 2026. And so the brands that adapt now while competitors hesitate are the ones that are winning, right? I see it daily. The brands that have a creative flywheel, that have a feedback loop in place and are giving Meta what it wants are winning. And the brands that are hesitant, the brands that are trying to nickel and dime Meta and spend as little as possible, the brands that are just kind of letting it run in the background are the ones that are essentially going to lose to their competitors moving forward. So before you go, if you do want a daily edge in Meta ads, feel free to subscribe to this channel. I'm going to try to do daily videos moving forward, for sure weekly, because information is flying around at the speed of light, and it's very important that you stay on top of it. So if you're new to Meta ads, or you're running Meta ads for your brand or other brands, you can follow me and I'll stay up to date with the latest trends. And so you can make sure that you never miss out. You can also follow me on X and LinkedIn, and that's actually not my handle. It's David Peratino. So I'll have to fix that, but you can also email me here, david@peritinodigital.com. And again, if you are an e-com brand that does 10 to 20K a month or more on Shopify, and you want to work out, or you want to work with me, feel free to reach out. If you want to work out, we can do that too. But reach out. And again, I do Meta ads, I do strategy, I do Google ads, and I do email marketing for e-com brands. So if you want to have a conversation, feel free to reach out. I'd be more than happy to chat. And with that being said, I will see you on the next video. Thanks.